Now that you've found UBN Radio and discovered our quality talk shows, it's time to spread the word to friends, family, and the universe. 24 hours of music and talk radio without limits. That's why people keep coming back for more. That's ubnradio.com.
Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living
with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Penn.
And welcome. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio show called Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get Balance with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon out of the Universal Broadcasting Network, Sunset Gower Studios in Hollywood, California, and then every Thursday at 7 and Saturday at 1 on my syndicated CNBC News radio channel, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and now all the time on iHeartRadio. And this is a show about hope and happiness. So there's no CNN, constantly negative news, no scandal, no gossip, and no K-words, no Kardashian talk at all. Instead, I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. And it is that time of the year. It's my back to school special. And if you remember last year, I had on my older teenage daughter, Chloe Carpenter, and her friend Renee. And this year, it's the young'uns' turn. So I brought my younger daughter, Sarah Carpenter, as well as her friends to have my first millennial panel here on the air. And they are all here. Hi, guys. Welcome to the studio.
Hello.
And I'm going to have them introduce themselves with their name that they're using today, just in case their parents are watching, and a one-word adjective that best describes who they are. So on the count of three, point to the person you want to have start. 1, 2, 3. VJ got the most fingers. Why don't you go ahead and start?
I'm VJ Patel, and I would describe myself as opinionated.
All right. That's why he's here. And we'll go to the left.
Hi, my name is Danielle Beltran, and if I were to describe myself in one word, it would be sarcastic.
Decisive?
You're right. Undecisive.
Indecisive or sarcastic.
Yes.
Great. Welcome. And?
I'm Cole Ross, and one word would be colorful.
All right. Welcome.
I'm Sarah Carpenter, and I am, lost.
Okay, well, I hope to help find yourself today on the show.
Thanks, Mom.
You're welcome. She was actually on the air when she was wee little, and now it's wonderful having her and all of my other children. I call them my other kids. They call me Dr. Mom, and I love that because it's a nice term of endearment. I love having them hang out at my beach house. So let's start with millennials. So you're the millennial generation, and I went and did some research. You are after the Gen X's. There's no precise dates for when the generation actually starts and ends. That's great. Lost among the numbers. Demographers and researchers typically use the early 80s as the starting birth years and use the mid-90s and early 2000 as the final birth years for millennial generation. You're also called the Echo Boomers, in case you didn't know. 60 Minutes newscast reported that they're the Echo Boomers because they're the genetic offspring and demographic echo of their parents, the Baby Boomers. The term refers to the generation size relative to the Baby Boomer generation due to the significant increase in birth rates during the 80s and the 90s. So you're an estimated, in 2015, you were 83.1 million people. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah. Do you feel like you belong? And that's what we're going to talk about, because millennials have quite the distinct reputation and stereotypes. So what are the stereotypes that you've heard about yourselves that you want to actually say out loud?
Tech savvy.
Tech savvy. All right, that's one.
We're always on our phones.
You're always on your phone. Is that true or
That's
not?
tech savvy.
More or less.
More or less, you are always on your phone. Okay.
Rebellious.
Rebellious. Yes.
Angry at society.
Angry at
goes with
society.
rebellion.
Yes.
So why are you so angry? Why are you so angry at society?
I don't think we're no, that's not true. We're angry at society. We're not rebellious though. Rebellious for me, I think, is also tagged along with rioting, and I don't see us like knocking down doors or actually doing something about society. We're more like complaining about it.
You just complain about
Well,
it.
that's our way of rebellion. It's complaining. That's what a generation is. We're just one big ball of complain.
It's pretty lame.
I'm just trying to say that we're not knocking doors down either. It's a different type of rebellion, and that's what makes our generation so unique.
And I want to actually compliment the rebellion sometimes is not necessarily complaining just for the sake of complaining, which is why I run the 21-day fast from complaining with Dr. Marissa, a little plug there. But the complaining is actually that activist side, right? You want to right the wrongs or change the things that you don't think are working from our generation, like how we're screwing up the world, so to speak. So there's more activists in terms of diversity, right?
Well,
I mean, so we were talking in the car on the way up. So Black Lives Matter. How do you feel about that?
Agree.
Agree?
Strongly agree.
Yeah.
Okay. And the whole thing around all lives matter. What?
Disagree.
Disagree.
Well, yes, agree. All lives matter. I'm not saying like there aren't specific lives that don't matter.
Right.
The reason why people say Black Lives Matter is because now it is more prominent that Black lives are being discriminated against with the police, just discrimination in general. Racism is now trying to be countered, which is a great thing.
Right.
But it's still countered because it's still alive today, especially more prominent in Black people. So that's why Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
Yes.
Agreed.
You all agree on that. You gave a great analogy in the car. I want you to repeat that.
It's by someone unnamed, but you know, if you're out there, this is yours. But someone gave an analogy that Black Lives Matter is like a house burning in a neighborhood full of other houses, and the fire police, the firemen, the firefighters, there it is, go and put out that house. They don't put out every other house. They don't just throw water on every house because all houses matter.
Right.
They're only putting out the house that's burning because it's burning and in trouble.
Got it. So you're civic-minded is the term that they're giving millennials to sort of put a term to what you're talking about. You also have this reputation around sexual orientation and diversity. So Facebook has 54 categories now of sexual orientation. And so and I had a transgender actor on last month, the first actor on Bold and Beautiful, and he talked about valuing diversity, and we've had this discussion amongst ourselves at home on your identity. Is it true that your fascination or your attention to the various sexual orientations is your way of rebelling? Like in the 60s, it was sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and so you're just doing it with gender diversity.
Personally, I don't feel it's our way of rebelling per se with our sexuality itself. It's more of we're kind of shouting out today in society, our generation itself, that we're here and this is who we are. And I would say that could be seen as our way of rebellion, but it's more of kind of us making our mark on the world and saying that we're not going to continue with the social norms of today and that we're going to be heard. It's our way of kind of going against society in a way, but also announcing who we are at the same time.
Getting comfortable with identification. And VJ, what is your sexual orientation?
I'm gay.
Okay. And how old are you?
16.
16. And when did you come out, so to speak?
Well, I guess I always kind of assumed that I was gay ever since I was little, but I never really came out to my family. But maybe around 2 years ago, I started to get more comfortable with the idea when I started to be friends with people of the same sexual orientation as me. So that's when I sort of came out to my family.
And do you feel like your difference, so to speak, is something that makes you less than, or is it the same as, or better than? What is your?
I think I'm equal to everyone else. Yeah.
That is just just a part of your identity, not your whole identity. Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's not really a sexual orientation. I was talking to Sarah about this previously. It's more of a sexual preference. But I would say my sexual preference would be demisexual. And the literal definition of demisexual would be that I'm not sexually attracted to the opposite sex unless I have a deep connection with that person. So that's what that would be known as.
There would be some who would say that's the way it's supposed to be.
Well, yeah, that's not the case, though.
That is not the case. Would you say you're in high school, you're all going into, junior year?
Yep.
Right?
That's the one.
So would you say, what are the top 3 preoccupations of people in your grade?
What do people have a problem with?
No, what do they talk about? What do they think about? What are they concerned with? The top 3.
I was about to say boys, but I can't speak for everyone here.
Relationships. Well, you could. You could.
Okay, you're right.
Having a relationship, but not even that, because now it's more of you're gonna have sex with this person, or are you guys gonna
okay?
do something?
So sex.
Sex
is top 3.
Is there a lot of drugs at LoSal?
Yeah.
Okay. Shout out to LoSal.
Oops. Okay. Drugs. Rock and roll. No.
I don't. Maybe fashion. I would just say
aesthetics, politics.
Aesthetic.
Aesthetics. Cole, you think politics are up there? Who are you going to vote for if you could vote?
I want Bernie, but he's out.
He's out. Yeah.
But I can't let Trump win, so it'd be Hillary.
Yay! So that's why he's on the show. But if you're wondering who I am talking to today, yes, you are tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, and I have my very first millennial panel here for my back to school special. And if you didn't recognize her already, I have my beautiful younger daughter, Sarah Carpenter, and then her 3 fabulous friends who are also my other kids, and they call me Dr. Mom, and it's Ross, Danielle, and VJ, and we're just talking about stereotypes that millennials have. And so I guess the next topic would be, do you think we will ever get to world peace?
No.
That was pretty quick, and why not?
North Korea just declared war on the U.S., so I'd say we're pretty far.
Okay.
Violence is very prominent right now. There's just no hope as of right now.
Well, some people will say that the hope comes from this generation because you are more diversity savvy than the past generations, that you will be able to change the trajectory of war. What do you think about that, Ross?
I think it's possible, but there's just so many opinions that I don't know if we could work together.
Yeah.
An example, Republicans.
Next question.
Yeah, so much for not talking politics on my show, right?
I mean,
okay.
There is diversity, but there's still oppression in the minorities. That's the only problem.
Yes, and we have a nice, colorful group here today. Do you get teased at school at all for the way that your heritage now? Like, is there still, discrimination in high school, bullies? What do you get teased about? Any of that still going on? VJ? Do you get made fun of because you're openly gay?
I guess sometimes. But like even as a little kid, I used to like get bullied a little bit. But I didn't really know that I was getting bullied. I don't know if that makes any sense. But I mean, I'm sure people still talking about me a lot behind my back. But I don't really care.
That's what I heard. So you're that you don't. That's the way that you're dealing with it, is that you just really don't care, which is actually pretty healthy. Now, Danielle, would you say that it's less because you have that reputation as millennials of being more accepting of diversity, that there's less bullying now?
I believe our generation is much more accepting to our previous generations. We've kind of as a generation came together to begin to accept our differences. And I believe that is aiding to the fact that bullying might be going down. I do believe that our differences are, like, itself is definitely a prominent reason to why bullying still exists. However, I believe in this generation there is a definite movement, a prominent change where we're all starting to accept that.
So, what's your biggest beef about your own generation? Let's start there. What's the biggest beef that you have towards millennials?
I'm really proud that you used the word beef. I didn't know you knew what that word meant.
Thanks.
I'm sorry. It's just it's very hip, as the kids would say.
Is it? That's hip?
Yeah.
Oh, that's an old term, right? But I'm ageless, but that's an old term.
We brought it back.
Yes,
We brought it back.
Yes. And I have to say, one of the things that irks my kids out the most is when I use hip terms, or I text them something that's hip, and they're like, "Mom, please don't."
Ooh, what did you
Anyways.
say? You said something that I don't know. I
Do you
forget
remember?
it. But no,
Okay,
I don't
okay.
remember.
You'll remember later and embarrass me then. Okay, so what's your biggest beef about your own generation?
Opinions. A lot of people have problems on the opinions you hold, specifically about feminism is a very prominent one in today's society. Issues that we have all personally fought for, especially Ross and VJ over there.
Okay, so let's talk about the little. If you haven't noticed yet, VJ is sporting a nice pink feminism hat. It is. I asked them what questions they wanted to cover today, and that was one of the topics. So let's jump right in. What are your views on feminism?
Well, for feminism, all of us are fighting for equality of the sexes, and I think it's still a very prominent issue in today's society.
All right. And so specifically, you want equal pay, regardless, or, gender aside, equal pay for equal work. That makes sense. What's the problem?
There's a lot of discrimination against. There's not a lot. There's more prominently now. There's a lot of sexism still going on, and the fact that more people are becoming feminists. Some people have a problem with that, and it just like comes to them to conclude that feminism is just about having women dominate the world, which is not like that at all. Just because it has the word feminine doesn't mean it's all about women. It's about equality, like VJ said. But just some people see the word fem or feminism, they're like, oh, feminazis. And yeah.
Okay. So it's almost like a division within your millennials. So some are very pro feminism and some are not.
Yes.
Okay. So I keep calling you Ross Cole.
I just think people think that feminism is about women taking over the world, but it's not. It's about achieving equal rights, not just women, everyone.
Okay, that makes sense.
And-
So, okay.
Oh, sorry.
go ahead.
I just don't understand why most people can't get that through their heads.
Yeah.
It's like that's the biggest issue. If they just read a little bit about feminism, they'd be like, okay, I understand the point. I think if you just renamed feminism to like equalism or like equality, then they'd be like, oh, well, yeah.
They wouldn't have so much against it.
But feminism immediately like, oh, ew, no. Man and woman, you know.
What drives you crazy about my generation?
There's a lack of understanding, possibly. I'm not. No way I'm bashing you. Please don't kill me after this.
I would never kill you.
I don't know. It's.
I'm giving you permission.
Just gonna start bashing and roasting.
We'll just separate me from that generation for a second, so I won't take it personally. But what is your pet peeve, or you wish that our generation would be more blank, or would be less what?
Understanding about aware of the social problems we have to go through.
They're not really up to date. In my
They're
opinion.
very conservative, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
They try to keep up with the gender and social norms that have been happening for a while, but I think our generation tried to break those down.
Mm-hmm. So you would tell me to chill out on what? On it's not that big of a deal if you're bisexual, or if you're gay, or if you're transgender? Is that what you're saying? Or give me an example.
I feel like the older generation has a way of thinking in black and white. There's really no gray area. There's no in between. So it's not really like chill out. It's more of, hey, can we recognize this gray area that the generation before us isn't really getting, isn't really seeing? So I think that's where Sarah's trying to come in, saying that understanding. It's not a matter of like, you don't get this. It's a matter of it's not being recognized.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The whole like, you don't understand, like it's not a phase
It's
kind
not
of
a
thing.
phase, Mom. It's a real me.
That partially that is true. It's usually not a phase anymore.
Okay. Now traditionally, and call this an awareness, but traditionally teenagers are going through their own phase where they are one, they think they know everything, and so you know nothing, and then the second is you're grappling kind of with your own freedom or your own thought. That's just the phase. That's where the conflict comes from. So are you saying you're different than that? That's just, your normal teenager changing plus?
I feel like that whole idea of knowing everything is about like us being more socially aware than they are, and us trying to tell them like these are new, this is modern. Like,
so we really don't know what's going on. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I feel like the idea of quote unquote it's a phase is the problem itself. It's the fact that these older generations just look at us now as a phase. We're not really seen as people, we're seen as a phase, and that's where most of our kind of the way we feel about older generation really stems from. It's the fact that we're not being understood, we're not being treated as kind of individuals, we're being treated as this whole group of, we're being treated as a problem, honestly. It's not, we feel as though we're not being heard, and our way of kind of dealing with that is really highlighting our identity as who we are rather than just a phase. Got it.
So, well, I'm trying to get it. So how does that? So you're talking to hundreds of thousands of parents right now, and I would say at least half of them have teenagers. Just guessing. So what are some things that the parents can do to bridge the gap of what's missing, and what are some things not to do? So if you could design your own parents right now, what would you say, this is good, so let's balance it out. These are the things that you're doing that are really fabulous and appreciated about you, and these are the things I wish you would just stop.
Let your child be who they want to be.
Yeah, you need to be more accepting of who they are and not make them feel bad.
For who they are.
Yeah, about what they like to do and what they like to wear. and B.
So
We had a little, that's an inside joke. We were talking in the car, and apparently he got some grief about his grandmother's sweaters. So, about his choice in clothing. But, okay, so more accepting of the choices of identity. So we are talking a little on sexual orientation. Yes, your hand's up.
sorry. there is a little like asterisk at the end of like accepting.
Mm-hmm.
I understand if you're a parent accepting of like you should be accepting of like who your son or daughter or whatever you have like wants to be. Like totally, but if that child involves like, oh, discovering who I am, like I'm gonna throw my life away, I'm gonna like I'm gonna drink all the alcohol, I'm gonna do all the drugs, I'm gonna just make bad decisions knowingly, but say it's for the purpose of finding myself, that's a little like iffy. You do need to still protect your child, but not necessarily what you think is gonna protect them. If you hide them from their sexuality or like what they really want to do, that's also obstructing them from finding themselves. So you have to be accepting, but also to the point where you do love your child and you want to
Set some limits.
Yeah.
Well,
Which-
the main... Sorry, continue.
as a parent should. Now, that doesn't mean like totally just cutting them off from everything you think will hurt them.
Letting them, there's
like-
a balance,
such, yeah,
right?
it's such a fine line in between what's right and what's wrong. It's like, oh.
That's my daughter. Very well said.
All I was going to say was, adding on to what Sarah was saying, that you can't necessarily let your child go off the rails like that. I was going to say there's definitely a structure in understanding itself. And I feel like our generation, the one main reason why we would kind of go off and do all these bad things is because we are feeling suppressed, and that doing drugs and drinking alcohol would definitely be a way of rebellion from the older generation. And I feel like if I were to change one thing about parents and our relationship between them, it would be listening. There's
What?
listening.
What? Couldn't resist. I'm sorry.
But yeah, listening. There's this, like you said, balance where you can't keep telling your child not to do something. You have to talk to them. You can't keep shouting things at them and expect them to themselves understand. There's a barrier not just between the child to the parent. There's a barrier between the parent and the child, and you need to find that understanding between each other. It's not that it's the parents that are the problem. It's that
The relationship.
it's the relationship
or the interaction.
Exactly, the communication between the two. We're not saying that you guys are the problem. It's more of the lack of communication and the lack of understanding between the differences between our two generations.
So to spend some time, because you know, from the I'm going to speak for all parents for a second. When we say how are you doing or what's going on or what's up, you know, I get this. Fine, it's fine. Everything's fine. Mom, you know, so not my kids, but I'm guessing that you know, you also have to feel like yes, it's our responsibility to create the environment that you feel like you can say everything. And I think I've done a half good job on that. I have this thing with my kids where, you know, you can tell me anything, right? And they're like, yes, Mom. And they don't usually say anything after that, but then maybe, you know, 5 minutes later, they'll actually come up with some jewel that I didn't know about.
No. When you ask us on the spot, it's like, well, no. Like,
Right.
just stop for a little second. But if it's something that's really bothering me and like I feel comfortable in telling you, yeah, I'll tell you.
Yeah. And I'm glad we have that relationship.
Oh, well,
I
look at this
love you
little
so
moment
much.
we're
Yeah,
having.
on the air. All right. So creating, so your advice is, you know, create the space to have the communication, right? But you do understand that your parents are coming out of love and the best that they can do, right? You do understand that, right?
Like 90%. I would say 90% love and understanding, and as your parent, 10% of that generation, the generation X or any of the before that.
Baby boomers.
Baby boomers.
Baby boomers. Getting mixed up in that. Yeah.
It's also what their society was like when they were young and what was normal back then.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I always say that it's just our job to do better than the last generation, because we can't get it perfect, but we can get it better. And it is that time of the show where we thank the sponsors that make the show possible. So we will be back with my panel of millennials in 2 and 2. Peace in and peace out. Do you feel blocked? Do you want to be more in the flow in every area of your life? Then try Colonics with LaDonna at Universal Flow. Colonics will help you with clear skin, clear thinking, bloating, and cravings. It's an ancient and new thought practice that allows one to reconnect with their true self. Go to www.universalflowinc.com and schedule your first step to a new you today. And we are back. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio show called Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon at Universal Broadcasting Studios in Hollywood, California, and then every Thursday and Saturday on my CNBC News Radio channel KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and now everywhere with iHeartRadio. And thank you for all of those who have gone to my Dr. Marissa Facebook page, given me the like, and also my many views on YouTube are now over 61,000, and I'm so grateful for that. And I wanted to just spend a quick second thanking my sound engineer, Jarvis Essex, who has been with me for over a year and done an amazing job supporting me here, and I just wanted to give him a little love on this episode. He just gave himself a standing ovation too. Fabulous. And let's get back to my panel of millennials. All right, so I do have one question. What the heck is a meme?
BJ?
Well, it's usually like a picture or a sort of phrase that we find humorous for some reason. I don't.
It's repeated a lot.
Yeah.
So it's used as a way of expression.
It's a joke.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a type of joke. It's a subcategory of a joke.
So give me an example. One that you find funny.
Caveman SpongeBob.
Oh,
SpongeBob.
Caveman SpongeBob. All right.
there's Pepe.
Pepe. See, it's really weird describing a meme in person unless you've seen a picture of it, because that's what makes a meme is the visual representation of it. Phrases aren't memes anymore. It's just a phrase, you know?
Well, like R.I.P. Harambe.
Okay, yeah. That's
Jarvis just found the the meme, the SpongeBob meme.
Yes.
And they still find it funny.
It is pretty funny.
sit here and laugh at it.
All right.
Well,
yeah.
my life.
So let's talk about social media. So it's like you don't interact in person. Like you can be sitting beside each other and you're texting, Snapchatting, Facebooking each other like side by side. What's up with that?
I don't really do that, so let someone else take the stage.
I think that's more of like 10-year-olds.
Oh, 10-year-olds do that. Okay, so
Yeah.
so you're all you all okay, so speak to the accusation that you're the generation that is basically not going to interact with each other anymore. Like your whole life is virtual. Your whole life is your interactions on social media, etc., etc. True, false?
Okay, I'd say it would be false. I feel like that's the complete opposite of what we're trying to do. Me personally, I believe the idea of social media is communication. And I feel like the only reason why you would see a child that is constantly on their phone and not personally interacting is because they're kind of finding and hitting this wall when it comes to personal interaction. Say the reason why you aren't talking to your parent, hey, how was your day? We're just like, it's fine. It's because we feel as though we're scared we won't be heard and we'd be criticized for what we'd say to you. And I feel like if you bring social media into this equation, it's this whole broad spectrum of, hey, maybe I can be heard. There's so many people around the world that might understand me. It kind of just, it's this whole new world where it's, there's so many people that have similar views to you, where it's almost this comforting, safe place. You feel accepted, and that's why we always find ourselves going there. It's kind of this generation's safe haven. We're like, hey, I feel like I'm being heard right now, and we don't want to let go of that.
And I would be okay with that, except of some of the dangers that happen online with people who are who know that that's why you're going there, and they can catfish and pretend that they're. Was I just cool again? I do know those things.
Very cool.
So there is a balance. But I totally agree with you. I do think when parents complain to me about the amount of time they spend on social media, or texting them, why can't they pick up the phone? Well, they feel comfortable in communicating this way. I have my best fights with your sister on text because it's
the best highlight reel of the best beef you can get.
Because I can communicate and we can actually work through a conflict on text much better than in person. So little TMI there. Cyberbullying. Is it? What are your thoughts on that?
It's a lot more prominent now instead of actual physically bullying. Mm-hmm. And people just hide behind their screens and fight.
Yeah. That
it needs to be stopped.
Okay.
Thank you, Cole.
Here's your public service announcement right here.
Stop it.
Well, yeah, there's this false sense of anonymity that you can say anything, and the worst is coming out in people who don't feel like they need to be responsible for what they say. So my antidote or my prescription for that is all the kids that I know, I ask them, could you please ask yourself 3 questions before you talk or put anything on social media? Is it kind? Is it true? Or is it necessary? And if you don't post it or don't say it or keep your mouth shut. And that's from Dr. David Simon, who's on the other side. But I just love that saying. I love that saying. So how do you stop cyberbullying?
I don't know. Just walk away from whatever.
Walk away from your computer screen.
Yeah. I'm not saying that's like the easiest issue because, the sting's still there depending on what they said or the shade they threw.
The shade. Wow, you're so hip, Sarah.
Oh, thank you so much. I know a lot of people who just, instead of, I guess addressing the problem is physically looking at it because you can. Mm-hmm. It's on the internet forever. Blocking them. Just blocked. Other
blocked reported.
Blocked, reported, flagged, everything. Which it seems really easy to just throw it away. Which it is a really easy problem to throw it away. But since it's the whole the anonymous part of it, it's like you also want to do it back. And then since it's also over social media, you can always, if you're the second person throwing in that insult, you could be like the one who actually got them, like the better roast, So it's like they have a comeback, and then you can wait 5 minutes, talk with your friends, like, hey, what can we talk about, and then immediately post it, which you will regret instantly.
Yeah. But that is. So what about your futures? Do you feel hopeful about your future? What do you think is open to you? What are your options? VJ?
I mean, I'm pretty hopeful for my future, yeah.
What do you want?
Like to do in life?
Yeah. What do you want from life? For the rest of your life, what do you want from life?
What I'm hoping as I get older, I'll find some sort of happiness doing what I want to do. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And right now, do you have sort of a couple things that you think that might be, or?
What I want to be some sort of writer or editor.
All right. Okay. Danielle?
I'm going to kind of keep it short and simple. I want self-happiness and self-acceptance. I need an occupation where I feel comfortable, and with that happiness that I find comfort in, I'm going to make my own success rather than go down this path that is seen as this is the only way I can be successful. I want to go against that idea of, if I do what I want, do what makes me happy, you won't be successful. I want to kind of find that happiness and make my own success from it.
Okay.
I agree with Danielle. And I want to be some type of photojournalism
Okay.
field. Yeah.
Okay.
What do I want as of right now? I don't know. I think into the future, and then I stop thinking into the future because it just scares me.
What scares you?
Everything.
Like
what's not to be scared about?
no, like what? Top 3 things.
Top 3 things to be scared
Mm-hmm.
about. The instant one was death, but I'm actually
That one's all right.
that one's a little too far into the future. Just doing well for myself. I don't really care what others will think of what I do. I don't even know what I want to do still. It's just more of, am I gonna succeed at it, and am I gonna like it? Right now, as of like in this moment, I just want to be successful. And to get that, I have to do very well in school. But to do very well in school, I have to work for it. And then you trace back. You work for it. You do really well in school. You get to a good college. Good college costs a lot of tuition. Chloe's tuition was a lot of money, but for a good school. So it seems worth it, right?
Right.
But I don't also want to be swimming in debt.
You're not going to be swimming in debt.
I'm going
You
to be
keep
swimming
having
in
this-
something. That's right.
Yeah, you're born to a recovering tiger mom. You will never have to worry about tuition. So I've told you that before, but she brings up this, there is this fear factor that seems to be a little stronger in your generation than other generations in the past because of all the shifting and all the things that are changing. So I will say to all of you, if you look at me in the eye, you can achieve anything and everything that you put your heart and mind to. And I'll say that in here. I had someone say that to me when I was in grade 10, my math teacher, J.J. Bristow, and it changed the trajectory of my feelings about my future. And so I don't care really what the forecast is for the job market or anything. I know that you have a birthright where you will have your heart's desire, and that everything that you do will be working in that direction. So there's nothing to be afraid of. And so it is. Yes? I'm not quite convinced. We'll do more work at home. But yeah, it is one of those things where even in my generation we had, and that is part of the society that I think has really damaged us, that fear factor, that doom and gloom, things are not going to work out. And I think it's BS. It's a belief system that doesn't work for us. So it's time for it to be over. Last words. What do you wish for? What would you hope for the planet?
World peace.
Well, even though it's not possible that you said at the beginning of the show, but
Nice.
that's okay.
You
That's
can still
okay.
hope, Mom.
Yeah, that's good.
Me?
Well, we'll do you last. Danielle, what do you want? Last words. What do you hope for?
I hope for a self-acceptance not only with today's generation but all generations. I want to bring that bridge, how you said before. I want to have that connection back again to where it's not our generation against their generation. I want a sense of working together and moving forward from today.
Beautiful. Thank you.
There's a lot, but I guess along the lines of sort of understanding each other and a better level of communication. Yeah, along the lines of what Danielle was saying about working together to move forward for less violence and toward world peace.
Beautiful. Thank you.
See, the world is a depleting ecosystem here. And we need to fix it. Not that I'm saying we can. We really can't. If you think about it, you can't just go back to like having a great air, pollution is just it's here. Well, I want to go to college, but I don't want to have to wear like a gas mask every day. Honestly,
Aren't you a big ball of sunshine, Sarah?
I know. What did I give you for breakfast?
I'm just saying, you fix the planet, just pick up your trash, please. That's it.
Recycle.
Recycle, reduce, reuse.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much to my very first millennial panel, VJ, Danielle, Cole, and Sarah. Yay! Thank you so much
Thank you. Thanks.
for coming and sharing your wisdom and your where you are in thought. And we'll probably check in with you next year and see where you are and if you've changed your mind about anything. And it is that time for the balance bar, where I ask you to step up to balance. Are you ready to stop listening to yourself complain? Round 63 of the 21-day fast from complaining with Dr. Marissa starts September the 1st. If you'd like to join, please sign my guest book at www.balance.org. And if you make it 21 days in a row after you register without complaining, then you will win a pack of my motivational cards called 52 Card Pick-Me-Ups, Stacking the Deck for Life Balance with Dr. Marissa. And also, please do get a 99-cent app that I have just for you to help you not complain with cheers like you hear on the show when you don't complain and a baby crying if you do. So please do get that app and help yourself not complain. And then let's see, if you would like to highlight your product, service, or new book on the air with the Asian Oprah, I have a special going on for my birthday month this August. We're in August. Instead of $500 for a 30-second commercial played 20 times, only $300. So contact me at www.drmarissa.tv to sponsor a show about hope and happiness and also get a lot of PR for your creative in motion. So next week, it's my popular last week of the month series called Sexual Healing with Dr. Marissa, because I am determined to make pleasure a G-rated topic. My guest will be Dr. Douglas Weiss, a nationally known author, speaker, and licensed psychologist who's been on the Oprah Show and now on the Asian Oprah Show to talk about his newest book, The 5 Sex Languages. So keep yourself tuned to take my advice. I'm not using it. Get balance with Dr. Marissa Pay. That's P for positive, EI. And remember, it's all about balance. Peace in and peace out.
How dark it is before the dawn.